So if you're looking at stabilizing your smartphone footage, DJI just released their new 3-axis gimbal, the DJI OM4. And if you guys are new to my channel, my name is Anastacio. I do a lot of drone tech, tips, tutorials, and product reviews right here on this channel. So if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing and also hitting that bell to be notified when I post new videos. Now with a lot of new smartphones these days, there's definitely a lot of internal stabilization that's going on. I'm still on something like this, which is an iPhone X. So it doesn't have some of the best stabilization internally that a lot of the new ones have. So when it comes to 3-axis gimbals and stabilization, this is what DJI currently had out on the market. This is the older version. This is the Osmo Mobile 2. And then here we have the one that came out last year, which is the Osmo Mobile 3. So this is DJI's latest update on the stabilization for mobile devices. This is the DJI OM4. And as always with all this new product, let's get this thing unboxed, show you guys exactly what comes in this package, and then get this thing out there in the field testing it. Of course, if you guys want to jump around, I'm gonna leave timestamps down below in the video description. And right away on the very front, you see a little illustration of what you're able to do. There's a magnetic clip that's attached to it, or you can put one on the back of the phone. Take out the first box here, it says creating magnetic moments. Little mini tripod, very similar to what we had on the Osmo Mobile 3, USB to USB-C cable. Little phone clamp here, as well as the magnet on the very back that you're gonna be able to stick that to your OM4. Next we have a little pad. It says a riser pad for small phones. Very, very similar or pretty much the same body style as the Osmo Mobile 3. And here is the OM4. And right away we see a little template for a phone to help you center that on the back of your phone. Magnet piece with a ring. And this is what you're actually going to attach to your phone if you want to go that route. Bag, so you're able to transport your OM4 in it. And to get the full experience, of course, when you're using the OM4, you're going to need to download the DJI Mimo app, very similar to what we had to do on the previous version. Now here is the OM4, and very, very similar to what the Osmo Mobile 3 looks like. And as you can see here, the biggest difference to try to save some space is that magnetic quick release right here. As you can see on the OM3, you're not able to do that. You have the clamp that kind of sits in here and you're not able to do much with this. Now looking at the overall size, everything looks pretty much exactly the same as the previous model, just that clamp system has been removed. So as you can see, saving some space, not too much. I was pretty surprised that they didn't go with a slimmer form factor for the new OM4. And before we do a side-by-side comparison with that one, let's just show you exactly what is on the OM4 as far as the controls go. On the very top of the handle, we have the joystick, so you're able to move that camera left, right, up, and down. We have the indicator lights here for your battery. On the top right, we have the record button, so when it's hooked up to the DJI Mimo app, you're able to now trigger the record and photo button straight from here, so you don't have to press onto the screen. And on the bottom right, we have the power/mode buttons to, of course, change the mode of the gimbal. So there's multiple modes in there, which we'll go through, and you're able to do that here on that button. And on this side, we have the tight and wide switch, so you're able to then zoom in or go wide using the Mimo app as long as it's hooked up to it. And on this side, we have a full-size USB, as well as a USB-C for charging. On the very bottom, we have a 1/4 thread, so if you want to throw this onto a monopod or a tripod, you're able to do that, or it also comes with a little mini tripod, which we will screw on. Just stand this up. But what's also nice about these little mini tripods is that when you're in selfie mode or using it, you can actually hold it out just like that to give you a little bit more reach. Now let's get to the biggest change of them all, and that is this right here, which is a magnetic system that you're going to be using to hook up your phone. Now it actually comes in a couple different ways to hook it up. You can actually hook it up using this clamp right here. So if you didn't want to attach what we have here, which is a adhesive magnet on the back to your phone, you can actually use something like this, which is just the clamp. In order for you to put this on, you just want to put this on into the middle of your phone. Just clamp it on a dot here on the very top of the magnet, as well as a dot right here on the very top. Line those up, and now let's see, just power this up. Open it up here, power it on. This is the very first time. Let's see how this looks. There you go. A lot easier to balance it. You don't have to do much of anything except have that magnet right in the middle of your phone. Double tap right into horizon mode or horizontal mode. And then if I want to go to portrait, And one of the biggest differences with the new OM4 is that they do have a little bit stronger motors. These motors can actually take up to 230 grams as far as how heavy the mobile device is. So it's nice that they're able to take on a bigger payload, especially nowadays with phones getting a little bit bigger and bigger and a little bit heavier, that this thing can take up to 230 grams as far as weight goes on these new motors. Now let's go through the app and walk through some of the features that the new OM4 has. Now there's definitely a lot of features in here already that have existed on previous gimbals and previous apps from DJI as well as some other companies. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on those pretty standard features, but I do want to highlight some of the features on here that are fairly new to the OM4. Now when you're in story mode, you're able to pick a bunch of clips from your camera roll, choose a theme and also the audio that you want played, and the app will actually make an edit for you right there on the phone. Now in Pano, you're able to do a bunch of different sizes here. You're able to do a 3x3, which is right here. You can now choose and do a 240 degree pano by selecting that one. And a new feature here which you have is a clone pano, which is pretty cool. Clone pano is a new feature in the OM4, and what it allows you to do is take multiple photos and actually stitches them together. So if you want to have a subject matter in all 3 photos, it makes it look like you are cloning that person in every single angle. So a pretty cool feature, which is the clone option in the Pano section on the app. Next, we'll jump down into photo mode. Now in photo mode, you have a few different options here. You can either do a timer as well as all of the other ones. You also have the ability to do glamour effects if you wanted to smooth out your skin. Also in photo mode, you're able to choose your frame from 4x3, 60x9, 18x9, and 1x1. You actually can turn on and off the flash, change your white balance, your grid lines, and also have the option to have the selfie flip turn on or off. Now, of course, with the gimbal, we want to get into video mode. So once you're in video mode, you're able to choose a few different options here. If you want to switch it from follow mode, which normally it'll default to follow mode, and follow mode allows you to then pan up and down, left and right, keeps everything nice and smooth out. If you want to change that up, go into something like tilt lock, which then it'll lock one of the axes. You can also go into FPV mode, which allows you to then move the gimbal all the way around. It kind of feels like you're in a cockpit, has a nice fluid motion to it, but it does not keep that horizon level. And then the last one here, we have a new one, which is spin shot. Now spin shot's one of the new ones for OM4 and allows you to get that unique spinning type of motion when you're going in and out of your subject just by using the joystick right here. Now ActiveTrack has been enhanced to be a little bit more accurate when following smaller objects. What I like to do with ActiveTrack is normally follow my kids around, select ActiveTrack or select them as my subject. That way I can kind of just walk backwards and not necessarily always have to focus on the camera, because I know ActiveTrack will keep them somewhat in the frame. All I have to do is keep pace with my subject, and ActiveTrack will mostly do the rest and keep that subject mostly maintained within the frame. You're also able to change a bunch of the parameters on the app, like the zoom speed here. So depending on if you want to go tight or wide, you're able to change that speed. If you want to change the speed of the control stick. Also, when you scroll down here, what I like to do on the press M button, I like to use it as my quick menu instead of my photo video. You can either switch that there, but quick menu allows you to now pull up a menu using that M button right here on the front. At the very bottom here is an important one, is the gimbal auto calibration. You're going to want to do your calibrations on your phone, but not even that. You want the horizon gimbal adjustment, which is really good too. Once you click that one, it gives you an illustration of where that mount should be on your phone for it to be perfectly balanced. And not even just that, it also allows you to then change the horizon a little bit, because sometimes your gimbal might be off horizon just a bit. So here it gives you some options to then change the angle of it just by pressing these buttons right here. Next option we have is slow motion. So in slow motion, of course, you're going to be able to use the slow motion that your camera has built into it. All it does is it accesses, so depending on what your camera settings are available, then you're able to access slow motion video through the app. Now next we have is DYNA-ZOOM, which is a new feature on the OM4, and it gives you that movement of very similar to when you're using drones. They call it the dolly zoom effect, where basically either you're moving in or out of your subject, and while you're doing that, it's doing the opposite in camera by either zooming in or out. So if I'm moving into my subject, the camera will automatically start moving out, and you'll start seeing the background and the foreground kind of compress and go in and out depending on which movement you're going, whether you're moving in or moving out. Next, we have a pretty common one, which is time lapse. So when you select on time lapse, you do have a few different options here. You can time lapse all the way up to 4K at 30 frames a second. And the last one we have here is hyperlapse, and hyperlapse is something that they've had on a lot of their previous models. It allows you to then do a motion time lapse, and what it does, it automatically speeds up and ramps up your video, so it'll take a time lapse that you've shot, whether you're walking or it's in a car, and automatically speed it up in camera. Now when I got the OM4, it was one of the first production models of this device. Now I think they're starting to hash out a lot of the smaller issues that I've been having, so definitely one of the things I'm giving them a lot of feedback on. But one of those things was I was getting a little bit of vibration when I was turning in certain angles. So in the box there's going to be a little extra pad here that you're going to need to use if you're using one of the smaller phones, and this is something they still might correct over time. Alright, so I'm actually in the middle of editing this video right now, but DJI just released an update, a 5.10 update, and all those little vibration things that I just mentioned in here that were a little bit of a concern, as you can see here, everything actually works fine now with that update. And in very DJI fashion, they were able to fix that problem with a firmware update. Not even that, but I have a moment case and a moment lens on here. This is the anamorphic lens, and balances perfectly fine. This is my iPhone X. And there you go. So for anyone wondering if you're able to use something like this, which is a case and a lens on there, I'm able to use my moment lens, my moment case, with my OM4. Now I mentioned earlier that you can either use the clamp on your phone, which is more likely what I'm gonna use, and I think a lot more people will, but you do have that option to put on this adhesive magnet onto the back of your phone. Now one thing to note with this adhesive here is that you're actually going to have to put it directly onto the phone. They don't recommend you putting it onto a case, which means if you do have this magnet on your phone, you're more likely not going to be able to use your existing case because you're going to have a big bulge on the back of it where the magnet is. Now overall, I do like the approach that DJI is taking. Now they're trying to simplify things as much as possible. So now all you have to do is take this out of your pocket, slap it on here, power it up, and you're good to go. And there it is, guys. This is the OM4, DJI's latest smartphone stabilizer. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, don't forget to hit that like button, and also don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos. This is Aljon Stasio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.